everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation, along with
CJ Liu from the Fired Up with CJ show.
Woohoo! Woohoo! If you've ever wanted greater peace and happiness in your life, then do we have the Breathe Deep show for you. Today we'll be talking about finding peace, making peace, and being the peace you're looking for in the world. That plus we'll talk about transitions in love, pro wrestling and kitty cats, a wifey back from the beach, and what in the world Michael's learned about single parenting. So, welcome back to the show, CJ. Are you ready to shine?
I am ready to shine.
Woo-hoo!
Okay, so is it single parenting with your cat?
Well, it's been fascinating. So, it was 8 days or so, 8 days, 8 nights without Jessica here, and
that's a long time.
It's a good amount of time since she helped run the show, and she also performs miracle duties of, say, feeding me and and keeping the house going. She truly is a miracle worker. So without her gone, certainly I had to take care of my needs. Not so much of a big deal there, but I ran into a big hiccup while she was gone these 8 days. I guess she came back 2 days ago. I couldn't figure out how to feed Sir Meowsers well. And so he was wanting food up until midnight, and you can't just put him in the other room because he has shredder capabilities. And
so he'll shred everything around him. Like he'll be upset and he'll start shredding.
Paper products, mainly. Books, book covers, files, $100 bills if he could get a hold of them. And so until midnight, he was just a little bit of a shredder, and then he would get back up around 4:30, and sometimes or even around like 2:30 in the middle of the night. And
my God.
I was literally learning about what a single mom, for instance, might go through in the middle of the night, because I had to come to a place of compassion, because at 2:30, when you weren't able to get to bed till midnight, when you're used to getting to bed around, as a lightweight, 8:30 or 9, once I finish everything for the show, you're flipped upside down and backwards, and you just want to yell, no! And you're like, I love him. I love him. I love him. I love him. And he doesn't want this food, and he's on strike for that. Let's open another can. Nope, doesn't want that food. He's on strike for that. Doesn't want this third food. Let me see you. I'll go stumble downstairs and come back up in the kitchen. Now I'm sitting next to him, and I've been awake for half an hour, and it's 2:45 or whatever in the morning. And just having love and compassion. And so he really, as crazy as it sounds, he really was a great teacher and learning how to become aware, because it's real easy at those points for you to have a flashpoint where all of a sudden you get angry even at the one you love because you're just so tired and frustrated. And so it was cool. When Jessica came back, we basically tackled him with love that first night. When he started misbehaving, I think she started first and I just started second. Or maybe it was even I started first. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to be up for a little bit. I'm going to put him in my lap. I'm going to send him love, send him love, send him love. All right, I can't stay up longer. Hold him, lay back down. He fights, and then he just turns to putties and stays there for half an hour. Jessica did something similar, and I actually overslept this morning because he didn't get up to bother me for food this morning. Wow. My kitty alarm was on snooze.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Is this like normal behavior for cats, or is this just your cat?
No, some cats are exceptionally finicky, and with him, it's been a particular challenge because he was an amazing outdoor Hawaiian hunter cat who would not only get his fill of small rodents and birds, and occasionally not such a small bird, but he would fill himself up, and then he would bring home for the other kitties as well, and literally present them not with a toy but with something to eat. So he was extremely proficient at taking care of his needs. Once he became an indoor kitty outside New York City, then it became, how do you take this cat who's used to eating live food and what's really the healthiest for him? Sorry for the birds. We love birds, but it's the healthiest for him. And then you're trying to give him something out of a can, out of a package, out of a what? and trying to figure out what makes him happy because it's not the diet he grew up with his whole life.
Right, right. Oh, that's hard. Yeah, that's really hard. I get it. I feel for him because he's basically he yeah, I get it. It seems to me like when I was imagining and tuning into him, it was almost like he has this, he has all this energy to be a hunting cat, right? He's
He
out there
does.
prowling and hunting, and that's like probably it's doing what he was designed to do, right? To go out and hunt and like to hang out at night outside. I just imagine him like being one of those cats that's like with a little cigarette hanging out in the alley.
Well, not only that, the storm comes. A big
Yeah, and he
storm
can't.
comes.
He's done with rain. It's snow, like a foot of snow out
Well,
there.
the snow, I have no idea how we would deal with snow. But on Maui, if a storm comes in, I couldn't get him into the house because he knows it's got the birds in hiding. And so
Right.
he's got, his lit cigarette. He's out there. He's the
Yeah.
French Brigade.
Right.
And hey,
Yeah, a little
birds.
yeah, yes.
Oui, oui. And he knows he can get double dinner because
Yeah.
everything's in hiding, which means, and he's got his laser vision. And so
Yeah.
that is what brought him to life. Now, I joked about, and I said pro wrestling kitty cats. He's been taking the love bug under his wing and like showing her wrestling moves and how to jump up for birds and all these things.
Cute.
He's like being trained by Obi-Wan. It's
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Feel the force.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's hard. You know what? I know that you guys are thinking about having kids, and it's exactly the same. Like the child will get up at 3 or 6. It's like unheard of. Who knows what time you get up and you're like going over, probably not in your case, but you would go up and you would nurse the baby. Like, and we actually very early on decided to have a shared bed where the baby sleeps with you, even though some people are really terrified. And there's two camps: people who believe in the shared bed, and that's actually there's a form of parenting called attachment parenting, where you're trying to actually make sure that that child feels loved and secure. And that happens by closeness with the child. And so they recommend a shared bed. So the baby sleeps in between you and your partner in the bed. So you have this little bundle just
That
there next to you.
intuitively feels right. I'm of the camp so far, and I don't know almost anything. Jessica
Yeah.
has been doing a lot of research, and she really wants to share and even make a program about this as she's going through this process. Um, really a mindful perspective on this
Yeah.
is I picture indigenous wisdom, and I picture what would a Native American ancestor do, and the kids were with them all the time,
Yeah, they carried them in
all
the
the
booths
time.
all the time. So that was the whole idea of attachment parenting is the kid sleeps with you, they're with you all the time. And there's another form of parenting that it's kind of more, it almost aligns to the whole conservative liberal. It has that similar kind of lines of where the child needs to like be independent on their own, figure stuff out. So if you're constantly like manhandling and touching them, they never learn how to be independent. So there are these two camps. I mean, we chose, and I think, frankly, if your kid gets love, whatever form they get love in, it's perfect. Like, I don't see that one form is better than the other. But for us, we chose the attachment parenting. So that means when the kid is hungry at 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, or is teething at 6 months at, whatever, you just get up and it's funny. My kids were looking. Sometimes they look at pictures back when, when they were newborns. From 0 to 3 is one of the hardest times when you are parenting because you're a lifeguard. Like you are literally responsible for this individual or children's or two children, twins, whatever, life. And so you're just constantly on guard all the time, just like you are with your kitty. And my kids were looking at pictures of me. And they're like, "You look older then than you look now."
Wow.
Like, yes, I was 33 then. I'm 53 now. And they're like, "Yeah, you looked like basically what I'm telling you is you looked awful."
Sleep deprivation. It's a killer.
It is. It's totally like it's so hard to be that sleep deprived and then do what you're doing, right? Today you said you had back to back to back to shows all the way till 5 o'clock, and that's totally exhausting.
Yeah, and that's
Sorry.
what I've had. That's okay.
It's just getting you prepped for kids.
It is, and it took that one night with Sir Meowsers, and I've coached a lot of single moms, and it's one of my favorite things to do because I can help them build so much freedom into things and figure out how to live a life while they're still having their child. It's been a really cool experience, but I hadn't experienced the middle of the night and understood just how easy it is to actually get upset with the one you really love.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then
And
the
that,
thing is, they can't communicate what they want either. So they're
no.
crying, and you'll feed them. It's like, well, no, I don't. I'm not hungry. And it's like, well, is it? Do you have a wet diaper? And so you go over and check the diaper, and then the diaper is fine. And then you're like, what do you want from me? It's 3 in the
That's what I was
morning.
saying
What
to
do
me.
you want?
I'm like, tell me what you want. But then after that first night, I was able to realize he's doing the best he can. It's not his fault. This is what it is. And for the next 7 or so days here, be totally at peace with him no matter what. And so once I became consciously aware, it didn't mean I was any less tired. Like I think
Right.
I told you, and maybe I told you for our last, no, I guess I hadn't told you yet, the last week's group coaching class, I had to change the meditation I was doing because I was afraid I was going to
Oh, you
fall
did. You're going
asleep.
to fall asleep. You know what you did? What we did when I can't remember. I think at around 9 months or I can't remember what the exact age is, but we would teach our children sign language because they can't speak until I think they're one. So we would teach them these sign languages. So if they wanted water, I'd say, "Do you want water?" I'm like, "Water," So this is like water, the sign for water, and they're like, "Yeah." So then when they're thirsty, they go like this. I'm like, "Oh, you want water?" So or a drink. So they like we gave them a couple of different things. They're like, are you sleepy? Or like whatever it
I
was, we would
love
tell
it.
them.
We had on last week Eldon Taylor,
Oh, yeah.
amazing gentleman on subconscious mind and
Yes.
training it. And he was talking about the way brain development works and way language works. The baby's brain is completely unwired when they come into this world. Unlike other animals who have a lot of things already pre-wired, like a baby elephant can get up and start walking with the mama, the dolphin can start swimming. We're relatively unwired. Language center isn't wired until maybe 6 months of age. It starts coming online, but in the transfer of information, maybe from one part of the brain to the other, the language comes in backwards. And so he said that and you can actually record your baby and test this, when the baby is making what seem like coherent sounds, but it sounds like they're speaking a gibberish language,
Yeah.
they're actually speaking in reverse.
Oh,
And so you can actually, and there was
sort of demonic. Like,
it's a little sort of like AC/DC, the
yeah.
devil. Sorry, everyone. But you could play it backwards, and there's a website. If I can come up with the link, I think I got it from the last interview with Eldon. I'll actually put it in the show notes. I'm taking a note here for that, where you can actually record it and listen to your baby backwards and hear what they're asking for. There's a sweet spot. So it makes sense if they're able to communicate, but it's coming out gibberish. Why not give them sign language? Give them every
Yeah.
tool possible so
Yeah,
they
and
can let you know what they need.
that like resolves so many issues because can you imagine like you have these two people who cannot communicate because the child cannot have verbal language, but they actually can move around and they have the motor skills. It's just teaching them. So we had, like 10 or 15, probably like 10 things. It's a whole book on sign language, but maybe you need to have your kitty like, if it's food, go like this.
Well, it was
If it's
food. The
toothpaste,
question is,
scratch
what
twice.
food? Please. And it can't be live bird. We're not going
You
there.
should train it to like one scratch is like this thing, the dry food, 2 scratches. Like you want your organic, whatever.
We've had on experts about animal communication, so I
Yeah.
try to go quiet and to listen, and I'll muscle test. Occasionally I'll get it right, but I guess I need to listen harder to try to
I don't
understand.
know. 3 in the morning is kind of hard to get that at that level. It's
So,
really hard.
but he's
Yeah.
a great teacher, and he is since the mama has come home, and we are smothering with him with love, which is really her big MO. He is putty tat now, so
Yeah, that's
I'll
good.
actually have to set an alarm clock tomorrow morning because he may actually let me sleep, which would be cool. I had the opportunity. Universe tried to get me up. I had a cramp at between 4 and 4:30 that felt like the thumb of God going into my calf.
Ouch.
And I got up and I massaged it out, and then I looked out the window, and maybe it was actually later than that. I'm like, wow, there are a lot of cars out for 4:30. Guess I'll go back to bed for a little bit because I've been so tired lately. And I
Yeah.
think I was actually it was universe trying to get me up.
That's funny. All right,
Whoops.
so is that what pro wrestling with the kitty
That's
cats is?
pro wrestling and kitty cats is he has been training her, and so she is half his size. He's a very big cat, has a very big face, and he has been incredibly gentle with her. While he will kind of throw her down, move her around, but then he'll just literally sit back and watch her. Like, are you understanding the move that I
Yeah,
taught
with
you?
love bug, you're saying.
Yeah,
Because
he
it made
is
it seem like
literally
you're
teaching
talking
her.
about. Yeah, that's really
No,
cool.
not throwing Jessica down.
That's why I was like, what's happening with Jessica? Like, this is with love bug. It was not clear for me who her was.
Yeah,
And
no,
then I was
throwing
worried.
down Jessica, and particularly with the gym work that's been doing. She did. She went down to North Carolina, and one of the things she got to try down there, if I get the name right, was aerial yoga,
Aerial
which
yoga.
is
Oh,
like
she's in the air
this
doing yoga. Wow.
silk cloth thing that's hanging on
Yeah,
hooks.
no, and you kind of it's like that like where you wrap it around your arms and you spin around. Yes, I've seen that.
I haven't seen her do her yet, but based on her pull-ups and acrobatics at the gym, I think she was probably born to do this.
Yeah.
And so she
Oh,
had
that
an
makes
absolute blast trying that.
Oh, very cool. Well, you know what? I've actually had my own set of challenges because I've had technical problems up the wazoo. Have you had any? I upgraded to the newest version of Skype, and it took 2.8 terabytes of data and threw it onto my hard
Wait,
drive.
wait. That fills and squashes at least 50% of the hard drives in the world.
Yes, like I have a I have a 5 terabyte hard drive, and I have other stuff on it aside from this gigantic Skype cache, which took up 3 terabytes. And so my machine was flaking out. Like every interview, I was having problems. I had this one interview with this gal from LinkedIn, and it crashed like 3 times. I mean, it was just so god awful. And then I was on the phone with the people at Apple, and bless Apple, they like helped me fix this thing. And I'm hoping that I checked, and it looks like this will be recorded, but I wasn't even sure like what would be recorded and what not. But it's interesting. How do you stay? So the theme is how do you stay peaceful and calm during that time? And so what you did is that you're sending love to your cat, but what did you do to yourself to stay peaceful and calm?
There was probably three different things. Acceptance. Okay, this
Hmm.
just is as it is. A surrender. I'm not going to worry and try to fix it. There's not much I can do. Although I was giving him extra love and trying to, I know he's going to shred things if I don't take care of him.
Right.
I'm just going to have to exhaust all options. And it's a perfect term, exhaust and options, and just keep trying and hoping that I'll find something. Prayer was certainly a part of that.
Please make Sir Mouser stop.
Archangel Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, all angels, guides, and light workers here for my highest good and the highest good of all. Please help me find something for Sir Meowsers to eat. Never underestimate the power of prayer or the amount I'll grovel when necessary.
I just kept on meditating. I would go into my heart, but it's similar that we had very similar kind of approaches because I would have this like, oh my goodness. And like my whole technology is just kind of messing me up. I don't know what to do. And there wasn't much I could do. And I've been really curt, like when all these unexpected things happen, right? Whether it's the cat, I actually found that my Starbucks card, I'm an avid coffee drinker. My Starbucks card had been hacked, meaning there was someone who
Didn't
had
know they
taken
actually
over
did that.
yes, they took over my password and name, and I didn't know that because the person I was loading stuff onto the card, like I may put like $75 and drink $75 of coffee over a long period of time. But what they were doing is once a month, or I don't know how often, but for the last 2 years, they've gone through and in Brooklyn, New York, whoever you are, would go to Brooklyn, New York, and they would go and purchase like $9.65 worth of food and coffee, I presume. And then they would do it like maybe once a month. So I wouldn't really notice it because it wasn't like, they were just draining my account down to zero. It was just like a small little amount for
Wow.
coffee and who knows what. Like 965 is more than just coffee, like, or you're getting like 2 lattes. I don't know what you're doing. But
How
so
I
I was
wonder,
like,
just from a technical perspective, how you would do that because you can't just punch in a number. You need a card, I would assume.
I seen what they did is they took my card number. I don't know how they got my card number, but they hacked into my account. They got my card number, and then they would probably do it electronically. So when they would go to Starbucks, I would like, beep, go and like you can actually take your Starbucks app with your scan code, and it just deletes it out of my account. So I assume that they've done. I'm not the only one. I'm assuming that they have like lots of cards that they just rotate around and they drink coffee. I mean,
Get
and
all the
plus it's like,
coffee they want.
really, is this how you? And I mean, it's kind of. And here's the thing. They said, well, I said, well, what can I do? For the last 2 years, this person has been stealing my stuff. They're like, well, you could file a police report in Brooklyn, New York. I'm like, you're not going to do, really, I don't have enough time to do that. So probably, $10 a month. So probably 120 times two. So $240 have been absconded with. I hope you enjoy your coffee, whoever is out there
No,
on me.
I'm literally.
Coffee.
I guess it's your dime, not mine. But I'm sending them. I'm sending love because maybe if somebody needed to do that, maybe they're hurting in some way,
I know, that's
and
what
we
I'm
put a
saying.
stop to it so that they.
Now you have to find some other person to do. But I'm like, you know how you're like, hey, the coffee's on me. Like, okay,
Oh, the coffee was on
coffee
you.
was on me for like 2 years. I feel like that was my nonprofit endeavor. I gave this poor person coffee, and like, because you have to be at a certain level to like steal Starbucks cards. Like, I don't know what it means. Like, it's just kind of a weirdish thing for me. Like, if you're gonna go through cyber stealing, like steal something big. But I guess they wanted coffee and a meal. I don't know. But even that, I think I didn't get really mad at that person because I thought, well, they probably really needed this, once a month. And if this is their little treat, then they're that hard up that they have to go through this and commit a crime to do it, then
We could easily make a story, though. Maybe this is somebody who had a professional job, had a good job, whatever, fell on hard times, and this is their one indulgence that still makes them feel like they're a good person, that they're not out on the streets, which doesn't mean they're a bad person, but maybe this was the one thing that
gives them a sense of normalcy, like coffee and like a Danish at Starbucks is the way that I've always done it. And so now I can have this on CJ Lou's card. God bless you.
Maybe they were doing it. They didn't get found for 2 years. Maybe they were doing it with gratitude each time that they would do it because they weren't abusing it.
Yeah. Well, I think if they had abused it, I would have been like, wait a second, I just loaded this card. Like, but it was just small little bits over a long period of time that I didn't notice. And Starbucks, of course, they can't track all that data. Like, it's not like a credit card company where they can track all the transactions. So anyways, that was one thing that happened to me. And then my computer, then Skype somehow took up 3 terabytes. And I kept on deleting and deleting because I was like, I can't delete anymore. I've deleted I've deleted all my old radio shows except for like maybe 5. Like, I've deleted everything. So I've had kind of one of those weeks too where the cat thing and all these other things are like unexpected things that happen in life, right? Mm-hmm. That how do you stay peaceful during those times and not go into blame? Like, you took my card out. You're an awful person. I actually just didn't even go there. And I don't even know why, but I don't.
Because you're growing. We're all growing.
I guess.
And so you're coming, if not from a place of compassion, then a place of surrender.
I think it's accept. You had said that you surrender and accept. And
absolutely.
Like I in our neighborhood, we live in a kind of like, it's not a sketchy neighborhood, but there's lots of transient people that are in our neighborhood. And so it's not uncommon for me to go in the car and realize that some homeless person has been sleeping in our car. And it's weird because I'm like, oh, looks like some homeless person was sleeping in the car looking for some like $1 or $2 in the car. And because they'll rip off all the stuff in our glove compartment, and then the seat will be tipped back. I'm like, well, at least I had a home. Like, lock the door and then don't think about it. at all.
When Jessica first were building our relationship, and
Yeah.
I stayed over one of the first few nights, there was a couple that ended up having their midnight rendezvous, trying to have it on the front porch right outside the window.
Oh my gosh.
I
What did
don't.
you do?
I think we may have rapped on the glass.
Oh my
And then
God.
and then we found that on the same couch, a gentleman we found had been staying there repeatedly on the
Oh,
couch, and I actually felt bad because when he was discovered by us one day, um, I wasn't actually trying to scare him away because it turned out he really did need a place to sleep,
yeah.
and I wanted to say the couch, sleep there, please, please, please sleep there,
Right.
but he was scared off by that. So I think we have what you're describing is compassion.
I don't know what it is. I have that same thing, and we have that in our neighborhood. We have a van where a lot of people neighbors don't like when vans where people are living in vans are living in front of your house. And I'm like, well, they gotta live someplace, and so they're not bothering me. Like I don't like that the van it looks like a crummy van, but like who cares? Like what? It's not like one little space in our parking area. Yes, the van doesn't look great. I don't care. Like whatever. The person has to sleep someplace. But I guess is it compassion? It's compassion, surrender, and acceptance, and I think love. Like I guess I don't know what it is. So when this stuff happens, if you can be in that direction, and it's not like I'm like this all the time.
Mhm.
Like when the woman I was in Starbucks, I was talking to her, and I was so stressed out because I had so much work that I was doing, and that was getting interrupted by this weird little Starbucks thing. And so I was reading email and like doing these PowerPoints as she was trying to rectify the situation. So generally when people are doing on customer service, they'll be talking, they'll be silent or you'll have music and they're like, hold on while I check the records. Well, this gal, it's like, anyhow, so I'm looking at the records, I'm clicking on this box. I'm like, please, please.
TMI.
It's like, and I was trying to figure out like how do I politely say, I'm like, oh, it'd be really great for me if you don't have to tell me what you're doing. So
The blow by
it
blow.
would be great for me, like, shut up, basically shut up. Like, how do
Oh,
I say shut up? Because I'm trying to get work done. And you're like, so, anyways, I can't believe this person did that. That's just an awful person. And then I don't believe these things. So then it's kind of disruptive and just, for like, I don't know, like 40 minutes. And I was like, is there a mute? Can you just put it on mute? What can you do? But I was seriously just irritated beyond all belief. So I'm not perfect. I mean, I had moments of just feeling like, oh my goodness.
well, that's also information overwhelm. The times I'm hearing like the van and things like that, what I'm hearing is putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. So if
Right.
somebody's lost their job, they're lost their home, and all they've got is their vehicle to sleep
Yeah.
in, why are you going to kick them out of that or tell them they're going to have to drive 50 miles out of town if they want to
Right.
sleep in their vehicle? Let them sleep there. They may have even a job they need to get to in the morning, and this is their only place they get to live in right now.
Right. But then again, you like that gal who's yibber yabbering on me over the phone.
You couldn't put yourself in her shoes.
Well, no, I can. And here's what's interesting is I work with predictive index, which is this behavioral assessment. And so you look at four factors. A is your dominance, B is your extroversion, and people who are extremely extroverted, they like when they're working, it's about connecting and talking, and if they're not doing that, they don't enjoy work. So that was her way of enjoying her work. But here I am, someone who is not extremely extroverted. Or I actually probably am right in the midline, but at that moment I was feeling extremely like I want to be private. I want utter silence. But for her, like she wanted to connect with someone, and here was something she could really get behind. And she wanted to tell me that she was feeling compassionate and sorry for me, and like that's awful. And she was trying to provide good customer service, but she just didn't read that I had one nothing to do with it. So I could feel compassion actually, because I think that was really it was her way. And this is kind of an unusual thing for me, but I'm learning through this predictive index that there are people who just want to be social for social's sake. And if they don't have that social component, work is meaningless. You go into work because you want to socialize. So there's this woman from Starbucks. What I realized from doing this, from kind of digging in and talking to people, there are people who like to go into work and work is a vehicle to socialize. They go into work to work. They go into work so that they can socialize. Work projects are a way for them to socialize because they like to socialize that much. And so it's just very different than the way that I'm oriented. But it was interesting from delving deeper into this material that there are people who are like that. So here she was, like, this was her way of connecting with me, her way of getting meaning at work. And, I was like shutting her off. Like, I was like in a little, like a big brick wall, like, don't talk to me, lady. So I did have compassion, but I didn't change my behavior either.
So you were somewhere in between.
I was someplace in between. I'm far from perfect. But these moments happen.
It's interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, Jessica was down in North Carolina, and she's more of an introverted bent. She loves being social with people, but she's quieter more of the time. But she's really come into her own power, and it's very cool to see.
Yay.
And when she was down there, she was like pulling on the golden thread, is what I'm calling it now, instead of the pulling on the thread of the sweater, pulling on the golden thread. And she was meeting one person, which took her to another person, and took her to another person.
Oh, I love that.
And she was introduced to a lot of these people right in the beginning, and so she didn't see all that much off island. She just met the most amazing people. And that to her was everything, which is awesome. That was nourishing her soul and giving her a sense of foundation and grounding and that sense of connection.
That's cool. So how are you feeling after getting the download from her visit? Is North Carolina the place, or have you found your home?
Those are multiple questions. First, I'm feeling at peace. After she got there, the next day I said, why am I feeling at peace right now? I'm like, something to do with her down here, but I feel at peace. And it was a very cool sense. Well, that's what peace is. Peace feels good.
I would talk to you the day, our last interview was the day after she had arrived. So I remember that point. But how are you feeling now from that beginning point to now? Because it's been a week.
I feel very good. It still feels nebulous. We know we're going to go there in September, so that's awesome. We know we would love to get there this spring because we still get to move. And the next month or so, it's coming up rather quickly. There is one possible spot down there. Something in me is not feeling right about it, but I'm open and I'm allowing. It's just some mild flags, and it might be my own issues that I get to work on because it's not close to where we will be living in the fall, and it feels kind of isolated. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty isolated with the show as is. I don't want to extra isolate myself where it's hard to get out because I'm far away.
Right.
Conversely, maybe that's all right. And I'm putting the energy out there. I'm going on Zillow and Craigslist a couple times a day, not even necessarily to find the right place. And if anybody's listening, it's Emerald Isle, North Carolina. That's what we're looking for, or in that immediate area. But to put the energy out there, because I know that the answers never come linear. It's one thing leads to the next, and something pops up. And so I'm putting that energy out there for that thing to pop up so that we get to one step rather than two step. And then I'm just allowing. I'm stepping back and going, I get the show to run and work on. And really our big thing for the show right now is, okay, we are sustainable with a caveat, which is I'm working mega hours for this thing. How do I become time rich through this experience so that we can enjoy our company and our lives more? Because this isn't supposed to be just of service. It's supposed to help ourselves as well. Because if you're not helping yourself, you're not helping anybody. And so that's been the daily self-discovery, the daily question Jessica's asking me, challenging me on, is how do we change the way we're working right now? How do we change that? And so that is as important to me as any move, because you don't want to carry with you the old paradigm and drag it 500 or 600 miles away and just continue the old paradigm. Oh, there's the beach, but sorry, can't get to the beach today because I'm working too much. It's not a complaint, but that's as much. And so that's actually empowering. I know that I'm very clear of what I am looking for now. And so each day I'm now taking action, even if that's just saying the number one goal is to figure this out. How do we build more time into our lives while we're running the show? How do I feel less economic pressure because it's expensive to run this show while doing all of the work? And so figuring that out as we're growing, and our growth has been just off the charts, but a lot of it is still based on an industrial age paradigm, which is hours equal dollars. And hours equal dollars will only carry you so far when you have a daily show, because what you don't have is a lot of extra hours to play with.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. It sounds like what's interesting and what I enjoy so much about our friendship is that we go through so many similar types of things, different expressions, right? But you're going through a major transition where your sense of home is being shifted from your existing place, which it has been kind of it sounds like it's been a wonderful home, but kind of it's always been a transition home. It's never been like home, right? Because you knew that there was like a limited time stamp on how long you could stay. And similarly, we are actually building an addition to our house where there's our house, and we're doing like a little guest house. So when our kids come back from college and they have little kids and stuff, like this is our life house. So we're assuming that when the kids come back from college, when they bring their little babies, they're going to want a house to stay off that's attached to our current house. And so we were building a little mini guest house in the back of our house. And today they tore down all the plants, because they need to in order for the construction to happen, there's going to be a big truck that basically digs out our whole backyard.
I'm going to pause you. My heart is already skipping many a beat going, wait. She just said tore out the plants.
Oh, no. So we took the plants out,
okay.
and we're transporting them someplace. So and then we've either transplanted them to different parts of the front of our house or sides of our house, hopefully gift them to other people, because I'm putting on the back alley and saying, like, if you want these, like, take these, because they're actually good plants, but they don't fit within our landscape design. So we're doing that. Don't worry. The plants are not going to be harmed. Or some of them will be, but much fewer, because I'm also have the similar kind of mindset.
Tagline on the show: no plants were harmed in the making of this show.
Exactly. But all that, there's something about, and this is like much smaller than what you're going through, right? And in some ways equally traumatic in some ways, because there's going to be a big, bulldozer coming over and bulldozing off our existing garage and putting in something. And so I'm going to be looking at the place that I sit in every day. Will be looking at a construction zone from April to September, and just seeing every day it's changing and it's chaos. Every day starting April 1st to probably September when it starts finalizing is going to look chaotic. And there are going to be people that I know, the construction people and people who I don't know, coming in and out of the house the whole time. And I don't know why, but it's I've had this happen before, and I'm not sure why, but all that energy change is completely stressful, because you have to start changing. And I think going back to what you're saying, you start changing your habits, right? Oh, is that my therapy, kitty?
This is love bug going in my arms as I'm hearing the chaos coming up, and I'm going, there's going to have to be some reframing so that in the chaos you look at, I know you think of all the positives, but somehow so that it doesn't start spinning you or making you feel ungrounded, some way that you can actually reframe it so that it brings you a sense of peace, even in the boop, boop, boop.
You know what? I think that I actually think that there's two things. It's one, finding peace even amidst, which is the whole purpose of the show, right? Like, how do you find peace even though chaos is all around you? Because there are times in your life where it will be like that. And then how can you just accept that it is that way, and that the ultimate outcome is really going to be great. I mean, I am going to really enjoy having a home office, because right now I'm cornered in a weird part of our dining room to have a home office. So actually having a really pleasant home office, a place where I can meet clients versus Starbucks where I meet them right now, it's going to be really, really quite nice. Do drumming circles. There's a whole bunch of stuff that will happen in that new space. But it's building new habits, right? I'll have a new habit for when I go to work. I'll be going across the way. I mean, it's about new habits. And I think that when chaos or why does peace go? Why don't we have peace? It's because there are a lot of changes that are happening externally to us and maybe even internally for us. And so when those changes happen, I think that they're also an opportunity to kind of, like you said, reframe them as opportunities to like look at life a new way, because my perspective will literally be changed. I'll literally look out and see something different every day. And then for the beginning, it's going to be kind of ugly chaos. And sometimes great growth comes with ugly chaos. It's just part of it. Like you can't expect growth and have nothing, no hardship. Like I've never had that happen in my life. Have you? I mean,
Oh,
have you ever had huge growth with no hardship or chaos or some sort of
wrong person to ask. There are two key words that come to
right?
mind:
Mm-hmm.
resistance and stretch. So
Mm-hmm.
resistance is you can find peace even in these moments if you're not resistant, if you're not going, that's not the way it's supposed to be. It's
Right.
supposed to be really peaceful out there. That's resisting the current state of affairs. And when you do that, there's pain. It hurts. And if you
Right.
drop the resistance, you can find peace even in the backhoe in the backyard.
Right.
The other
Right.
part is stretch. So, I always come back to, and hopefully I don't sound like a broken record, we're a daily show, 7 days a week. That's a lot of work. I don't say that as a martyr. I say that because I'm in school.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I ask, and we're going to be sending out surveys, and please, if you're listening, come sign up on the website and take the survey and let us know your thoughts. We're going to be asking, is it all right if we go down to a 5-day show? What looks best to you? Because Jessica would like to see me more.
Right.
And I keep asking this question, and so far I keep getting 7-day-a-week show. And I think part of that, because I'm not convinced that almost any listener can actually keep up. Listeners tell us they binge listen for a while; they'll consume a lot at once. But I'm not sure anybody can keep that up as a sustainable pace.
Right. Yeah.
But it keeps me in school, not a school of busyness, but it keeps me in both learning. I'm learning so much on the show, so much from every interview, so much from the guests, but also so much from this experience. Today, we had our interviews pretty much overlapped, your interview and the last interview.
Right.
That was a little bit painful. And I admitted that because Jessica made a burrito for me, sat it down in front of me. I got one bite, and I was already, quote, late. And I said, sorry, I'm going to have it later. And my little ego is going, no, or my inner child is, give me the food back, give me the food. There's still learnings in there and being at peace in there. And so the word stretch comes to mind, which is to put ourselves in discomfort, which is only uncomfortable typically when we resist, with the understanding that I'm going to grow into a new baseline, find peace from this, and then something greater will come of it. So the move, definitely that's going to be a little uncomfortable, CJ.
Right.
And there may be times that I'm really not happy because change is uncomfortable,
Right. It
but
is.
something special will come out of it, the same that's going on for you. I tend to catch that a lot earlier. I think it's because of the injuries that I have had. It's also why one of our future books will be my mantra, kind, gentle, easy, good. Because
Mm-hmm.
I am such a believer in how gentle can we allow this change to occur. At the same time, you got to take the steps because I believe we're here to grow. We're here to challenge ourselves. We're here to stretch. And if we don't stretch, then universe comes gently or not so gently with the 2x4 and will whap us over the head or in the thighs, whichever the case may be, to enforce us to grow. So we might as well take those steps now into the discomfort rather than wait for the discomfort to find us, because usually that's a lot less comfortable.
Okay, I have a question for you as someone who is an expert in kind of body speaking to us. So I had I've been getting PT and chiropractic stuff, and I plateaued. And so what they had suggested is to introduce something new. So they said, you need to actually get some myofascial release because, I have a problem with my shoulder still in my neck. Like I can't turn. This is as far as I can turn. I don't have full range of motion with my neck, either going to the right or like this direction. It's always pulled here. And I have kind of still a back problem, lower back, that you're gonna have to get a massage. And so the guy that does massage, I swear I'm like a piece of meat on a table, and he just basically he was squeezing so hard. Those videos that you see of or pictures you see of a mom grabbing the puppy with the scruff of its neck and like pulling. This is what he was doing. He was just like, pulling my neck.
You poor puppy.
It was like he was just pulling and then I said, so how would you describe your form of massage? And he said, well, what I'm doing is I'm working at a really deep level and I'm squeezing, the muscles are adhered together. Like your muscles start adhesion. The myofascial is like creating it as one unit. And so he kind of squeezes that area until it's almost like an arm wrestle kind of thing until the muscle gives up and then it relaxes and it separates. And then I thought, here's my question. Do I have to do it that way? Or can you be like, hi, slow, you can relax.
Well, it's
separate.
interesting. It's interesting that you're doing that petting motion.
Yeah.
So I've experienced benefits with both methods. And there are people who do a very gentle kind of active release. If I can come up with the name afterwards, I know Jessica will tell it to me. We were doing it in Maui, which is almost like a petting motion. It's a retraining of the nervous system in the area because the strongest thing, your connective tissue is so much stronger than your muscles. It is so much stronger than the muscles. And if you ever look at it on a microscope, and you can go and look at this on YouTube at videos of this, it's this gelatinous stuff, that stringy stuff that attaches one place and morphs and it attaches another, and it's constantly changing. And so I believe there's something to be said for retraining it rather than ticking it off and grinding into it. With that said, I think there's a time and place for everything. Jessica's mouse hand was giving her problems over the last year, and she kept thinking, it's a sign I'm not supposed to be working as much, which certainly it is. Shouldn't be working as much. She went through different mice or mices and stepped away from the computer, and nothing she was doing was working until she's like, I think she bumped her arm or elbow into something, and it shot the pain down to her hand. And she goes, Michael, I think I found the spot. And I'm like, I'm on it. And I pull out my thumb.
Right.
And I started digging in and digging in like it's nobody's business. And it shot so much pain down her hand. And then afterwards she felt better. And we had to do a few more sessions. And then it felt 100% better. And then it came back one time. And then I dug in some more. And who knows, I'm sure maybe it'll come back at some point. But it completely went away.
Yeah.
So I think there's a time and place for both. You don't know which. Motion is always good. When you started saying that, my neck started tightening up. And I'm like, is it TRX, which Jessica uses, we want to do? I'm like, no, I'd like to get her into a pool. I'd like to get her swimming in a pool and get you in some zero gravity and just get that gentle motion of movement, fluid motion, and in a zero gravity environment. I don't know why.
So I think that, and the reason why I think that that's an interesting, I mean, it's actually related to this, right? So my body is not feeling peace, and there's two different ways. One is the kind of like, seriously, like slab of meat, he was squeezing so hard until it was like, I give up. And it's just like,
I'll give you the codes.
Exactly, I'll give it to you. And then for like 3 days, it's been sore. Like this area back where he massaged, it's like, it's sore. It's super sore. Like I did a really hard workout, and I thought, I don't know, like I kind of understand this methodology, but I also like the kind of, it's okay, let go. And I just have a question in my head of which is better. And I guess that what I'm hearing you say, and I think is akin to life, is that both of these things are okay, right? Like sometimes you're going to get, the 2x4, like you said before, or that, or the thumb drilling in. Like sometimes it's going to be that shifts it, because there needs to be some type of forward momentum because it's stuck, right? And then I think maybe there's a point when it's like, it's okay now. It's all right. you know, like the kind of kind, gentle, easy, good. And it's probably a mixture of those two things that there may be pain, but you will get peace, right? Like Jessica was in pain when you were like grabbing her elbow and
Oh, yeah.
drilling in with your thumb for like 4 times or whatever, 4 days or whatever. But then there was peace and there wasn't the nagging sensation with her hands all the time. So I think I think peace happens in different ways, right? Sometimes it's this kind of, you know,
Maybe
and change happens,
the most
right?
important thing is keep seeking. When you've
Mhm.
got tight shoulders, when you've got money challenges, when you've got whatever it is keep taking the steps forward. You don't have to take them radically fast. You don't have to act in a panic. You don't have to blah, blah, blah. Take steps forward, though, and the
Yeah.
next door will open. So this door was an active release technique for you. And you said, maybe that was too much. And so you might take another step forward and say, hey, can I find somebody who does more of this gentle retraining on the body or Feldenkrais work or any of these other modalities and try that and see how that feels. But if you
Yeah.
keep taking those steps, that itself, when your shoulders are up and tight, that's energy that's stuck. We know that. And for
Hmm.
some reason, there's an emotion that's stuck. There's energy that's stuck. You might even do Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson and work on that as well. Because the body is a representation, not a representation. Body is our subconscious alive. And so it's telling us stuff. Why is something stuck? And you start to, through diving in there and then trying different modalities with the body, you get the energy moving again. And one way or
Yeah.
the other, the answer will come.
Yeah, and any kind of shift. I mean, what's the parallel to this body is the example is that so you're moving, right?
Mhm.
You're getting something to shift. And when that stuff shifts, like you were talking about your habits shifting, but when you actually when my shoulders started shifting, I literally had like these toxic emotions and things kind of pop up out of nowhere because it was like all of a sudden was like, hello. I've been stored
Makes
in your
sense.
shoulder the whole time. But I think that the similar kinds of things, like that habit of holding my shoulder in a particular way, I had to shift that habit. And when that happened, stuff kind of tumbled out, like toxic attitudes, behaviors, beliefs kind of tumble out. So that's what we have to look forward to as both of us go through transitions, right? Because those are all good little things to find, like to discover some little weird thing that was trapped in my shoulder to come out and like be healed now. Like that's a pretty cool thing, but it's painful. Sometimes it's going to be painful, and sometimes you need to be kind, gentle, easy, good.
And if you get a massage or any of these experiences and you start crying, literally start crying, not because of how tight they're digging in or anything,
No,
but you
you're
start,
just tears come down your face. I've
you're,
had that.
you're releasing emotions that have been stored in your stuck shoulder or whatever. And that is
Oh.
the most cathartic, healing thing in the world because you literally could be holding
Mm,
some of that since you were 2, 3, 6-year-old kid and some
mm.
trauma happened and it froze in your body.
I love it. I love it. Any other final words?
Everybody, if you can spring the funds, go on to what's it called where they have the special deals and you can get like 3
Groupon.
massages. Thank you, Groupon, and buy yourself a package of massages. Get yourself some
Hmm.
massages. I am so into the kind, gentle, easy, good, and self-love path that if you find yourself out of peace and you can get yourself some time on a table to go for the gentle one in this case, but do it for yourself. You deserve it, you earn it, and because I couldn't even remember their name, I'm not getting a commission from Groupon. Something to consider for the future to help with the show.
And I'm not either, but I just, great idea. I love it.
And that goes along my lines that I have to say, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself.
Love it. Woohoo!
Woo! All right. I think that's everything I've got on my end. You, CJ?
I am done. I'm good.
Excellent. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler and
CJ Lou.
saying, be well, have fun. When the road gets bumpy, throw some extra love and massage your way and shine bright.
Woohoo! All right, I'm going to go because I know you have a burrito to eat. Lots of love to you. I'm so excited for you.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also, leave your comments. Have some real fun with it. Subscribe to our channel where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!